Hey guys, this is Sean from visualforester, and in this second example video, we will be overviewing the growth and harvest treatments using Stand Designer's structure system. At its core, Stand Designer was purpose-built to be a scene building and visualization tool, and unfortunately not a harvesting and growing tool. However, we have people on the team working hard to have features related to these dynamics. For now, I was able to get my good friend John here at Alpine to perform the harvesting, growing, and planning in a separate application that was also built here at Alpine called the Graphical Planning Interface, or GPI for short. And he was nice enough to give it to me for this example video. After planning for the treatment harvest in GPI and exporting everything, we have one table for the trees that are to be removed, another stand table for the residual trees, and a third stand table with the residual trees 20 years into the future. Alright, we'll start with an empty scene in the work menu in Stand Designer, and the first thing I'll do is import the residual trees. These are the trees that will be left behind after the harvest. In Stand Designer, from the very start, we already have natural pre-selected as the distribution mode, and the slider is set all the way to uniform. The last thing that I'll have to do is set what structure to place these trees on. So I'm going to set this as S1. So the structure system in Stand Designer is a non-destructive way to place many different types of vegetation on top of each other. In this way, it's very similar to a layer system. We can select what structure we want to place them on, and then we can toggle those structures on and off. The S structure is for the trees, the G structure is for the plants and smaller ground cover, and the T structure is for other objects and decorations. When using the structure system effectively, we can swap between stands that look completely different with only a few clicks and without deleting anything. I'm going to skip ahead and place both the residual trees we'll let grow on structure S1 and the trees to be harvested on structure S2. So then we're essentially seeing the current stand as it is pre-treatment. Alright, now I can go to the ground and I can toggle that S2 structure on and off to toggle on and off the harvested trees with 2 on my keyboard. Or we could go to the toolbar and I can toggle it off with the click of my mouse here. There we go. Toggle that off. Now we can really see the effects of the harvest treatment we're proposing. And to better see the effects, I'm going to zoom out here with the drone. And I'll keep toggling it on and off here. One thing that I love to do when demonstrating a change to people is to have the stand summary open while I change between before and after. Excuse me, there we go. There we go. Here is the before situation. 389 trees per acre down to 200. This way, the people that I'm showing this demonstration to can better understand the numbers about what 200 trees per acre looks like, or what 389 trees per acre looks like. They can better translate the numbers to what they're seeing on screen, essentially. In this stand, I'm going to go from 198 square feet per acre of basal area to just 130. One thing that I also love to do when demonstrating before and after change of a stand to people is opening up the half work menu and going into the stand inventory tab. Here in the stand inventory tab, we can see all of the current information from all of the activated trees on the ground. All the trees that we're seeing in the stand is conveyed here. So for instance, I can go to trees, and for all the trees that are actively on the ground now, this is what we're seeing. I'm going to do structure bar graph so that it's color coded by structure. And I'm going to turn on our trees to be harvested on, and you'll see they'll appear as a black bar here between structure 2 and structure 1. That way it's really easy to see what we plan on harvesting and what we plan on keeping. I'm going to do basal area. It's another key thing I can look at. So there we go. There is the basal area post-treatment, and here's the basal area pre-treatment, as well as the cutout line as to what we'll be harvesting and what we want it to look like in the end. The stand inventory panel also gives us different views, like table view a pie chart so that we can see the differences of before and after on a pie chart as well, and by species. And you can toggle and interchange all of these graphs and tables with all the different data. Scribner, basal area, trees, biomass, all of those parameters can work with every single chart here to better demonstrate before and after. So as you guys know by now, we used two CSVs. One CSV was used for the harvested trees, and another CSV was used for the residual trees that we were going to leave behind. But what if we wanted to combine those two CSVs together to make one CSV? That would effectively be the pre-treatment. Here in the stand inventory panel, we have the option to do so. You can export table, export, it doesn't matter what what panel you're on here, you can export the data to CSV. And I'm going to name this as total. And now we've saved the entire pre-treatment stand table as a CSV. So there you are. Alright, so we're in the middle of giving a successful presentation, walking through the forest in Stand Designer, showing our colleagues the before, here's the before, and after of what our thinning would look like, showing them the data, and giving a really good, clear picture on before and after. But one of them points out, oh, no, you can't do that, We specifically cannot chop down those 2-inch ponderosa pines. We must keep specifically those 2-diameter ponderosa pines. Well, that's not a problem in Stand Designer using the Structure Edit tool. The Structure Edit tool allows us to transfer specific trees from one structure to the next. Specifically for this 2-inch ponderosa pine, I can simply select it here using Shift left click. That'll toggle the red sphere over the object. And now we have a bunch of options that we can go through on how we can select these trees. I can select all visible here, which will effectively select all of the trees on the terrain, but we don't want to do that. We specifically want this tree, so I'm going to clear that mark there. We can either select all visible, or we can select individual species. So for this ponderosa, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to select everything about its same species and diameter, which will effectively select all of the 2-inch ponderosa pines on the map. If I were to clear these marks, we can also select everything above its diameter and below its diameter, which would be the 1-inch DBH and the 2-inch DBH trees. So I'm just going to select these 2-inch DBH trees, and I'm going to move them to S1. There we go. So now, when I toggle the structure from before treatment to after treatment, these 2-inch ponderosa pines remain. And that is how you effectively utilize the Structure Edit tool. More information on the Structure Edit tool can be found in the manual. Alright, so now that we have both the post and pre-treatment trees on the terrain, I'm going to import the third stand table. Here we go. Which is the residual trees 20 years into the future. I'm going to put this on the S3 structure, and it's going to remain a uniform distribution, just like the other residuals. And I'm going to place these down. Take off S1 and S2. And here you are. Here are the trees 20 years into the future. This is the pre-treatment. Here is the post-treatment. Whoops. I messed that up. Let's see here. Alright, pre-treatment. Toggle S2. Post-treatment. Here's the thinning. And then here is the post-treatment 20 years into the future. So far, we've been working with these pre-made stand table data sets. But what if you don't have a pre-made stand table, or you simply want to create your own? In Stand Designer, we can create our own data set using stand table development. Stand table development helps you create pre-made stands that are based on different Western United States forest regions. These regions are organized by state. So for instance, I can click into Montana here, and I can either select the Beaverhead Mountains region or the Belt Mountains region. You can also select specific species to fill a pie chart. If I were to reset this to an empty pie chart, it showing all none, I can then select from the list of species that are provided to make a custom pie chart. So let's say I wanted a terrain that was with junipers. I'll add about 10% juniper. You can see it correlate here on the chart. I'll add another ponderosa pine, or actually ponderosa pine dry site. I'll take about 10% of that as well. And I quite like sugar pine. I'm going to do just 4% sugar pine. I said I like it, so 12%. All right, here we go. If I click fill remaining, then the species I selected will fill the rest, keeping their respective ratios. Alternatively, we can select a region we really like and remove some of the species we don't want from the pie chart. For here, I'm going to select, I'm going to go through these a little bit. And I will select Beaverhead Mountains here. Yeah. So now I know there are lodgepole pine there, but let's say I don't want lodgepole pine on my terrain. I can take this all the way down to 0. Perfect. And fill remaining. And now we have a table that doesn't have any lodgepole pine on it. Once I create the stand here, you'll notice that all of our graphs from stand table development come in this standard downward curve to better fit most situations out there. But we recommend editing the curve to better serve your needs for the forest you're working on. So for me specifically, I'm going to edit the white fir here about to 15 dBH. And another thing that I wanted to show you guys with the graph is when you right click, you can essentially eliminate everything to whichever side you last clicked on. So in this example, it's going to remove, since I last clicked on 15 dBH, if I right click on 16 dBH, it will remove everything up and to the right of 16 dBH. If I reset the graph, and let's say I want to remove everything below 30 dBH, I can click on 30, and then click on 29, and as well as 30, everything smaller than 30 dBH has been effectively removed. Another tip to using the graph is, once I reset the graph here, we can head up to the directional keys here, and we can change the entire graph using the directional keys. The up and down keys on this directional pad changes the quantity of the trees on the graph. The left and right changes the dBH. And we can also click the middle button here to set how much of an interval we want to have our change affect. So I can select 5 here, and every time I hit the direction number up there, we go up by 5. And we also have 25, so we can go down by 25. So now everything is less than 1, essentially. And the same thing with the dBH as well. Now we'll be seeing a lot more 72-inch dBH Douglas firs and ponderosa pines. So there you go. In example 3, we'll be using the polygon tool to construct a special scene following some specific instructions given to us by a local landowner. Until then, I'm Sean with the Visual Forester team, and I'll see you guys later.